Israel on alert, a phrase that has become increasingly familiar in recent months, but today it takes on a far deeper and more urgent meaning as a new alliance reshapes the security environment of the Middle East. The development is not just a diplomatic maneuver, but a shift with potentially direct consequences for Tel Aviv's safety, stability, and long-term strategic outlook. As Israel's policymakers, military leaders, and citizens look outward at a rapidly evolving set of regional partnerships, the question is no longer whether this alliance matters, but how dramatically it may alter the balance of power in the region. At the heart of this unfolding story is the very real concern over whether Tel Aviv, Israel's bustling political and economic hub, is now more vulnerable than ever before. The alliance under discussion is not a minor coordination between states. It is the confluence of military, political, and ideological commitments by players who have long expressed resistance to Israel's role in the region. While many details of the pact remain closely guarded, it is clear that the alignment involves both state and non-state actors who share common interests in containing, challenging, and perhaps even weakening Israel's strategic position. To understand why Israel is on such heightened alert, one has to look beyond the surface of recent announcements and examine the deeper dynamics of how regional blocs form and operate, particularly in the Middle East, where alliances are often as much about perception and deterrence as they are about actual battlefield cooperation. Tel Aviv has always represented more than just a city. It is the beating heart of Israel's economic life, home to the nation's financial institutions, its booming tech sector, and a symbol of modern Israeli identity. Protecting Tel Aviv is protecting Israel's very existence in the eyes of its leadership. Therefore, any shift that raises the specter of threats to Tel Aviv's security resonates throughout the political and military establishment. In the past, Israel has relied on its own formidable defense capabilities, most notably its missile defense systems such as Iron Dome, David's Sling, and the Arrow, to shield its cities from rocket fire and potential aerial incursions. But the concern now is that the emerging alliance could change the equation by presenting multiple, simultaneous, and diversified challenges that strain Israel's ability to respond effectively. Among the most pressing fears in Tel Aviv is that this alliance may enable coordinated pressure on Israel from different fronts. For decades, Israel's security doctrine has been shaped by the concept of the multi-front war, the possibility of facing simultaneous threats from Lebanon, Syria, Gaza, and beyond. The new alliance brings that possibility closer to reality, potentially synchronizing the capabilities of actors who in the past operated independently. A combined political and military front means not only more weapons, but also shared intelligence, logistical support, and diplomatic cover. It is this possibility of synchronization, rather than any single development, that has triggered Israel's heightened state of alert. Israeli officials are acutely aware of the lessons of history. The Yom Kippur War of 1973 remains etched into the nation's psyche as a moment when coordination among Arab states took Israel by surprise, nearly leading to catastrophic consequences before a dramatic turnaround. While today, Israel is more militarily advanced and better prepared than it was half a century ago, the principle of surprise and the dangers of underestimating adversaries continue to loom large. In today's environment, technological warfare, cyber attacks, and asymmetric strategies such as drone swarms and tunnel infiltrations add new dimensions to the threat picture. For Tel Aviv, the challenge is not only protecting its physical infrastructure, but also ensuring its digital and financial systems remain resilient in the face of potential sabotage. The global dimension of this alliance cannot be ignored. Regional powers are no longer operating in isolation. International players with strategic interests in the Middle East may find themselves entangled, directly or indirectly, in the evolving dynamic. The United States, Israel's primary ally, has reaffirmed its commitment to Israel's security, but Washington's bandwidth is stretched thin by global commitments in Europe, Asia, and domestic priorities. Meanwhile, other great powers such as Russia and China have deepened their involvement in Middle Eastern affairs, often supporting actors that are in opposition to Israel's agenda. For Tel Aviv, this complicates the picture considerably, as the alliance may benefit from indirect backing or diplomatic shielding at international forums such as the United Nations. Inside Israel, the atmosphere is tense but not panicked. The public has become accustomed to cycles of tension and calm, of flare-ups in Gaza, or rocket barrages from Lebanon followed by uneasy ceasefires. Yet there is a growing recognition that the emerging alliance represents something beyond the familiar rhythm of conflict. It is not just about one rocket, one border skirmish, or one hostile statement. It is about the potential creation of a durable framework designed to continuously challenge Israel on multiple levels, militarily, diplomatically, and psychologically. For Tel Aviv's residents, the thought of sirens wailing, shelters filling, and uncertainty spreading is not an abstract nightmare but a lived memory. Each new report about the alliance brings that memory back into focus, reminding Israelis that peace and security are never guaranteed. The Israeli Defense Forces have responded with visible and calculated measures. Troop readiness has been heightened, with units in the north and south placed on higher alert. The Air Force has conducted intensive drills simulating multi-front attacks, including scenarios where Tel Aviv itself comes under heavy fire. Naval patrols have increased in the Mediterranean to safeguard critical infrastructure such as natural gas platforms, which have become both an economic lifeline and a potential target. Intelligence agencies, particularly Mossad and Shin Bet, are working around the clock to track communications, movements, and intentions within the alliance. The message is clear. Israel is preparing not just for a potential flare-up, but for a protracted period of heightened risk. Diplomatic activity has also intensified. Prime ministerial statements have sought to reassure the public while simultaneously warning adversaries that Israel will respond forcefully to any aggression. Behind closed doors, Israeli envoys are lobbying international partners to recognize the dangers of the alliance and to exert pressure on its members. The United States has been kept fully informed, with high-level military delegations traveling back and forth to coordinate contingency planning. At the same time, Israel is quietly reaching out to regional partners with whom it shares common concerns about the alliance. Countries that have normalized relations with Israel in recent years under the Abraham Accords are watching closely, calculating how this new regional dynamic might affect their own security. The economic implications for Tel Aviv are also significant. As the hub of Israel's financial system, Tel Aviv thrives on stability and investor confidence. Each escalation or threat carries the risk of rattling markets, discouraging foreign investment, and dampening the optimism that has fueled Israel's tech boom. Cybersecurity experts warn that the alliance may not confine its activities to physical warfare, but may also target Israel's digital infrastructure. In an age where economic warfare can be as damaging as bombs, Tel Aviv's banks, stock exchanges, and tech firms could find themselves in the crosshairs of coordinated cyber campaigns. The ability to paralyze financial systems or leak sensitive data could undermine confidence not only domestically, but globally. Public opinion in Israel is divided between resilience and anxiety. On one hand, Israelis pride themselves on their ability to endure adversity, often invoking the phrase, "we have no other choice," as a rallying cry. On the other hand, there is growing frustration that despite decades of military superiority and diplomatic efforts, Israel continues to face existential threats. In Tel Aviv, a city known for its cosmopolitan culture, nightlife, and optimism, the tension is palpable. Cafes remain open, tech workers continue to innovate, but beneath the surface lies a recognition that the future is uncertain and that the shadow of conflict may once again darken the skyline. Analysts warn that the psychological dimension of the alliance is just as important as the physical threat. By projecting unity and strength, adversaries may hope to demoralize Israelis, to create doubt about the future, and to weaken the social fabric of the country. In a society already strained by political divisions, economic inequality, and debates over national identity, the external threat could either serve as a unifying force or as a pressure point that exacerbates internal fractures. For Israel's leadership, the challenge is not only preparing the military, but also ensuring national cohesion in the face of external pressure. The international community is watching with mixed reactions. Some governments see the alliance as a natural outcome of decades of unresolved conflict and call for renewed diplomatic initiatives to address the root causes of hostility. Others view it as a dangerous escalation that threatens not only Israel, but regional stability more broadly. For Tel Aviv, the concern is that international responses may be too slow, too divided, or too equivocal to prevent the alliance from emboldening its members. In such a scenario, Israel may find itself forced to act unilaterally, striking preemptively to neutralize perceived threats before they materialize into full-scale conflict. As the story continues to unfold, one thing is certain: Israel is on alert in a way that resonates beyond its borders. The future of Tel Aviv's security is not just a local issue, but a regional and even global concern. What happens in Tel Aviv does not stay in Tel Aviv. It reverberates across the Middle East, influences global markets, and shapes the policies of great powers. In the days and weeks to come, the world will be watching not only how the alliance develops, but how Israel responds. For Tel Aviv's residents, the hope is that vigilance, preparation, and international support will be enough to prevent the worst-case scenarios. Yet, the very need to ask that question underscores the fragility of the current moment. Israel's security apparatus is built on the principle of deterrence, convincing adversaries that the cost of attacking outweighs any potential gain. Whether this principle holds in the face of the new alliance remains to be seen. What is clear, however, is that the stakes could not be higher. The safety of Tel Aviv, the stability of Israel, and the broader balance of power in the Middle East all hang in the balance as Israel stands on alert.